What is up, you guys? This is Mini Superheroes Today.
Well, it's no secret that I'm one of the biggest LEGO Marvel fans on the internet, so today I wanted to take a look back at every Marvel minifig we've gotten so far and determine what the top 10 best ones ever are. Now, there is some criteria for what was considered on the list. First and foremost, I did an Instagram poll asking your guys' opinions, so I factored that in pretty heavily. Next up, we have to take a look at what makes a minifigure good. In my opinion, it's the accuracy to what you see on the screen, whether that's animation, TV show, or movie, or even comic books. So with LEGO, if we take a look at just a random minifigure, we can see that there can be printing on the arms, the legs, the sides of the legs, and the head and torso. Now, we also have a thing called dual molded legs, which is where the legs are made up of two different molds, so maybe you have red on top, blue on bottom, or any combination. And the same thing can be done for arms as well, where you get two colors on the arm that are actually molded into the plastic of the figure. So with that being said, let's get into taking a look at the top 10 most accurate LEGO Marvel figures, and most of them are going to have those features we just talked about because it takes them up an extra level of accuracy. But not all of them are going to have it, so let's just get into it and explain.
Be sure to check out my new song, Let's Get Small. There's a video on my channel now, linked down below, and the song is inspired by Ant-Man's adventures. I hope you enjoy the video. I'd love to hear what you think, and let's get back to today's video now. Coming in at number 10, we have the collectible minifigure series version of the Scarlet Witch. This figure was pretty groundbreaking for several reasons. First off being those dual molded arms, and then of course we have the hairpiece that has the tiara built in. Some people were annoyed with this, but it doesn't bother me as much as I saw some people on the internet say. Now, the reason she's not higher on the list is because I think she could have had the cape around her waist, kind of like the skirt cape, if you will. And I think that could have helped with accuracy, as well as putting printing on the tiara, which we got last year in 2022 with the Sanctum version of Scarlet Witch from Multiverse of Madness. This is so close to being the perfect minifig, but because of those two things, it's got to be a little lower on the list. At number 9, we have the Infinity War War Machine. Now, this came in a Bricktober exclusive pack, and honestly, this probably could have been higher on the list, but like I said, I kind of took everybody's votes into account, and this didn't get very many votes, but I suspect it's just because people forgot this exists. I mean, come on, look at that great arm printing, the leg printing with toe printing. Both arms are unique, too, because we've got the 004. We have the black and red eyes, which look awesome. And, of course, we could lift it up for a unique roadie head underneath as well. He did have the HUD on the back. And if we lift that up, you can see that he had awesome printing on the back of the torso as well. So, like I said, though, I'm surprised this wasn't higher on the list, but a lot of you guys did not vote for this one, so here he is. Now, we have a lot of MCU characters on this list, but not all of them are MCU. This is the Scarlet Spider from the Web Warriors Bridge Battle from many, many years ago, but this figure definitely ranks pretty high. Now, it is a relatively basic figure. You know, he doesn't have any leg printing, which is kind of interesting, but he does have arm printing, which only ever appeared on this figure, so having exclusive arm printing is nice. The back printing is cool. He kind of has two hoods. You can see one's printed on, and then another one is a piece, which is kind of interesting. And the symbiote Spider-Man from San Diego Comic-Con is also pretty accurate, but you know, he could have had the white patches on his hands, whereas this one actually does get the web canister printing on the arms. One thing I will say is, you know, he could have had printing on the sides of the legs to show his web canisters down there, so it's not a perfect figure, but it is pretty darn accurate, and that's why he's at number 8 on this list. From 2021 onward, we've been getting non-stop awesome LEGO minifigures from the Marvel theme, and 2023 has been a highlight. This is the Loki from the $100 Avengers Quinjet, and this really was a huge upgrade to the original one. Not only do we get a brand new face for Loki, but we get his black hair, which can also be interchanged with his helmet here, and this is the first time we've gotten this helmet in this metallic gold molding, which is really, really nice. Then, of course, we've got the gunmetal gray torso and legs with printing on both. We get printing on the back of the torso as well, which is hidden by the cape, but we also get this face, which can be turned around with Loki's muzzle on there. I really like this because this basically encapsulates Loki from the entirety of the first Avengers movie, and even though it took over a decade to get the perfect minifig, getting it all these years later definitely earns him a spot on this list at number 7. Number 6 lands us with Zombie Captain America. Now, this figure is a huge standout because Lego zombies are relatively rare. You know, you'd think with how many Lego minifigs there are, there'd be more, but there's only maybe a dozen, maybe 20 max zombies from over the years, and this, of course, is one of them. This is based off of the Marvel What If Season 1 on Disney+, and this is super cool because he has a unique shield that's all, you know, beat up and has paint scratched off of it. He has dual molded legs on both legs, but they're two different colors. You have exposed zombie flesh on one leg and a red boot on the other, with printing on the sides for both legs, which just takes it up a notch. We also have unique printing on both arms, so it's not like a, you know, replicated print. It's completely unique. And the torso is all beat up with zombie damage, and that just looks great. The helmet, of course, is the most recent version of the Captain America helmet, but it has kind of the, like, dust and grime on it that helps it look more zombified. And if we lift that up, you can see we've got a great zombie head with even a little bit of printing on the back. So literally every surface that could possibly be printed on this figure is, and that attention to detail definitely lands him a spot on the list. We've made it to number 5, and we're still in the Marvel What If phase, because here we have Captain Carter. Now, technically she did show up in Multiverse of Madness, but based on the haircut, this is supposed to be the What If version. This one is awesome because we do get printing on the arms, as well as dual molded legs with printing on both sides. Those arms and legs came in handy for a lot of collectors wanting to make Captain America upgraded customs, so that's super nice, but even so, we're not really talking about customs in this video. It's just nice to point out that they're that detailed. We can lift the head up and see that she does have a reversible face with kind of an angry, determined face on one side. Also, good look at the back printing there. And we have a little bit more of a gentle smile on the other side. And we get a completely unique shield that only appeared in this figure in the CMF series. So that's really, really cool. And this is definitely a standout from that series. Unsurprisingly, we have another figure from the CMF series on this list, and that is White Vision from WandaVision. Now, there is a reason that he's not higher on the list, and that's because of the gemstone in his forehead, which should technically be blue to match the show. I do really like this figure, though, and of course, we've got all of that gold printing, dual molded legs once again, printing on the arms. It's really, really amazing, and this is an absolute standout and definitely deserves a spot on this list. At number 3, we have Zombie Hunter Spider-Man, which is an awesome figure because of how much detail it has packed in. First off, you got this web, but let's go ahead and take that out of the picture so that you could get a better look at the figure itself. Now, we do get dual molded legs with all of that great line printing in the blue areas, as well as printed arms. We'll look at those arms a little closer in a second because we do get Doctor Strange's levitation cape that comes with this figure. We also get a Peter Parker head, which is really, really cool. This head was only ever used on this figure, so we get a scared version and then the happy version we saw on the other side. But let's go ahead and lift that head off so that we can take the cape off and show you what the figure looks like. Now, one thing to note is this Spider-Man head has been used on several Spider-Man figures other than this one, so it's not exclusive. But the torso looks great. We do get arm printing with the web canisters printed on there and some immaculate back printing as well. This is probably one of the best LEGO Spider-Man minifigures ever, let alone one of the most detailed and accurate to the MCU and what we see on screen, so he definitely deserves to be on this list. Before we get to the final entries, let's talk about some honorable mentions, the first of which is Deadpool. Now, Deadpool is pretty much a perfect minifigure right out of the box, but, you know, imagine if he had gotten some side leg printing or even dual molded legs or something. I think it could just be a tad more accurate, but honestly, I do think he deserves to be included in this list to some capacity, so I included him in the honorable mentions. Our second honorable mention is the Iron Spider from Infinity War. Look at that. He had unique arm printing on both sides. We had a unique torso print. The head print was the same one used on the Spider-Man Far From Home and Homecoming minifigure, but regardless, he did get his Iron Spider arms here, which we could remove to see unique printing on the back. It's kind of a shame that got covered up by those arms, but overall, this figure was really, really great. The only reason he's not on the list is because of the legs. I think it looks really jarring with all the red on the side, and if these legs were dual molded, I might even throw my hat in the ring that this is one of the best Marvel minifigures of all time, but unfortunately, we have to talk about him the way he is without making any custom upgrades, so we've got to call it what it is and call him an honorable mention. At number 2, we have the Silver Centurion Iron Man armor. This was a GameStop promotional minifig that was given away if you pre-ordered the Avengers video game from GameStop. Now, this figure is in a league of its own. You have really cool dual-molded arms, which give you silver on top, red on bottom, and printing that runs over that dual molding, which is exceptionally rare from all LEGO themes, let alone Marvel. The legs are great. We have toe printing, front leg printing, and printing on the sides of the legs that has a ton of detail, and it's really, really immaculate. On top of that, we have this shoulder armor, which houses a 1x1 flat brick with printing on it, as well as a 2x1 flat brick with printing on the back as well, which we're going to remove in just a moment. But we got a completely unique helmet here, which can be lifted up, of course, like the old style Iron Man helmet, which gave us a black and blue-eyed Tony Stark on one side, and then on the other side, we had a unique Tony Stark smirk that only appeared on this minifigure, and then we can lift this up, and you can see he's even got immaculate back printing as well, which looks great. And there's unique printing on the front of the torso. Now, the reason that this can't possibly be number 1 is actually a technicality. If you look at the polybag of this figure, it says it's from Age of Ultron. Well, obviously this armor did not appear in Age of Ultron, so technically the packaging for this was not accurate, which holds him out at number 2 in my list. And at number 1, we have Sam Wilson, Captain America. Now, this figure is awesome on so many levels. Not only did it introduce a brand new set of Falcon wings for him, we also get Red Wing, which is detachable, and we're actually going to remove the wings so that you can see all of the printing on this figure. If you remove the wings, he's got his backpack on the back as if the wings are retracted, which is pretty cool in its own right. We did get the brand new shield, which debuted in the Marvel CMF series, of course, where this is from, and the shield also came with Bucky from that same series. But let's remove that shield as well so that you can see the printing on the figure. We've got dual molded legs with printing on the sides as well as the front and the toes, which looks awesome. We have printing on both arms. We already talked about the back printing, but we have printing on the back of the head as well. And overall, this figure is just amazing. Now, a reason why this is solidified at number 1 on the list is because of all the great things we talked about, but we're probably going to get another, Sam Wilson Captain America for Captain America New World Order when that movie comes out, but I don't think LEGO is going to go this far with that minifig. To give him dual molded legs, all the printing on the arms, I just don't see it happening, so I feel like this is pretty definitively going to be the best version of this figure ever made, which definitely earns it some points, and I think he's worthy at number 1.
Alright guys, so that's the list. Let me know if you agree. Do you think that there's anybody that was left off of the list that needed to be on, or do you think that the order of rankings was correct or not correct? I want to hear everything you have to say, so be sure to drop some comments down below, and be sure to hit like and subscribe so you don't miss any future videos here on the channel.
Well, you made it to the end of the video. Thanks for hanging out with me today, and don't forget to hit like and subscribe, and maybe check out one of my other videos listed here.